Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another podcast. This is Timon, your host, and this is my podcast, Timon's Podcast. Chilling in the garden this evening. Want to just give you a quick little intro and update to this episode. I got to sit down with my cousin Taran. He's just so chill. Such a good time. Such a good conversation. We talked for like an hour, and then I realized I wasn't recording any of the audio, and so then we just like remixed it up and said let's do it again. 2 hours later we have this episode, which is fantastic. So I got such a good time with him, and I'm so thankful we got to spend this time together connecting. I've been talking to him for a while about getting on the podcast, and so yeah, this was very special. I'm very thankful that I was able to spend time with him and you guys get this episode. Let me quickly talk about today's sponsor. It's Quiet River Massage and Revival, located in Syracuse, Indiana. Jasmine, the owner of this company, is an absolute awesome massage therapist. She does 60-minute, 90-minute, 2-hour sessions. Definitely check her out, book her, tell them Timon sent you. You can find her on Instagram. She has a website. Both the links are below. Space to relax, chillax, and get a massage. So check her out, Quiet River Massage and Revival. Thank you, Jasmine, so much for sponsoring this episode. But with that, guys, here's another episode of Timon's Podcast. One more thing, I'm podcasting. Podcasting is happening, not at the frequency that I was podcasting in the past, but I got some bangers coming, some good more conversations, so stay tuned and enjoy and share. Peace.
Well, probably 2012, 2013. We had like a summer trip to the machine with like a bunch of my idiot friends from Bourbon.
Yeah, like
and
16 of them.
And you just like rolled in, and I was like, dude, like
You invited us.
yeah, I know you came with, and it was
the one dudes that stole some stuff.
oh yeah, the signs and
yeah.
God, that's like
There's guys I'm pretty sure were on.
oh, I can't imagine.
Something. Yeah.
The whole trip was just like I'm like, what are we doing? Like and
I remember you at the top of the stairs at the cabin, and you're like, right when we got there, and like, well, let's get this started, and you jumped from the stairs to the cabinets above the sink.
oh God, I believe you.
I also, one of my favorite memories of that too is we were all driving. We were in someone's minivan.
Okay.
And we were following each other back. And someone was driving around, because it's 2 lanes. They're driving around, and they would signal that they're turning this way, and then they would go that way. We'd be like, we're going this way.
Yeah.
They would go this way. And I laughed and laughed and laughed.
Dude, what I'm like, I think about things and I'm like, I'm so thankful that we didn't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
And get hurt, because like we were so stupid. And I mean that like in a genuine way.
We were.
But man, like, the thing about that I struggle with is I go back and forth and I'm like, for Rowan, like what do I want? And there's pieces of me that want her to just love Jesus and just want him all the time. Mm-hmm. And I get that. But I also am like almost of the mind to where like you have to, I'll be careful. You don't have to try the things of this world. But I think at some point in your life, there's going to be like a temptation or something of this world that's going to. So
You have to be aware.
yeah, and like I'm so thankful. I laugh about those memories. I don't know how to put them in like my walk of life, because I'm like, would I take them away? Probably not. Like those are pretty funny, but I'm also like, that was definitely not what my parents' prayer for me was.
Right.
I was doing some dumb stuff that could have hurt a lot of people. So I struggle, because I'm like, for her, I want her to understand what's right and what's not, what feels good versus what is really good. And like you go back and forth, but I'm like, man, I feel like I can relate to so many more people when I try to share my faith and like those things, because I'm like, dude, I did all of the things that you've ever done. You know, like I was there and I thought it was hilarious and awesome too. But like, I also know what it feels like the next morning.
Right.
It's empty. And you can't argue that. Like,
Right. Or people are stealing your stuff, or you're dealing with the drama of
Yeah.
things that you said. Or
yeah.
I remember one dude, I'm sure he spent $1,000 at the casino.
Oh, dude.
We went to Turtle Creek or whatever
Mm-hmm.
the casino was. It was a guy from Bethel, and I remember one of your buddies was like, "Oh yeah, he's rich. It's fine."
Yeah.
I'm like, "How much you win?" He's like, "Oh, I won $1,000." And then I talked to him. He's like, "Nah, dude, you lost 1,000. Don't." He just keeps on going to the ATM and pulling out money.
Oh man.
Like, oh yeah.
I don't know who that would have been, but
Yeah, I don't remember.
could have been anybody.
All I remember was picking up your one buddy in Bourbon, and we went down this long driveway to get to him. He was a childhood buddy from.
It's probably Griffin.
Yeah.
And he would have been the same guy losing $1,000 and not worried about it.
It wasn't him.
Yeah.
We're recording. We're good on.
Are we on?
Yeah, we're on.
Dude, we're in.
Both sides now.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yo.
We had a slight technical difficulty. We just talked.
Just an hour.
We talked to each other for an hour, and none of it got recorded. But honestly, it's not a mistake because it was a wonderful conversation for an hour.
It
So
was needed.
and neither of us have anything else on our schedule for today, so we'll run it back,
Yeah, run it back.
dude.
Yeah, I feel you on the like. How do you raise your child? You don't want to box them in.
Yeah,
Because if you box them in, then they're gonna be like, okay, well, I'm going to try everything. I've
Yeah.
seen that
You-
where there was so much like control over them, the kids, that they just went off the deep end.
yeah,
So you want them to be able to experience life, but you also don't want them to make all the same mistakes you did. And I really think for me, where I'm coming from with my kids is I can't put rules in place based on the life I lived because they're living in a totally different world. Like I didn't have TikTok. I didn't have the social media. I mean, it was coming in. If I gave them all of the rules that would have helped me succeed in a better way and kept me out of bad things, they're not going to fit their lives now. They're in a totally different world. So I got to give them principles. I got to give them things like, okay, these are things that you got to fall back on and then grow from. And they're going to be there's going to be new battles, new devils, new things.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they're going to be in a totally different world.
I mean, dude, our kids are almost 3 and 2. Like, so trying to plan 10 years ahead from now when they're really going to be in it, like, who knows?
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be so many things that are grabbing for their attention. And, it's not that I want her to go do bad things. And, I think of Bible stories, like do the prodigal son type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I also, like, I think that there's like a piece of like, if you don't do those things, you wouldn't be able to know how to relate to people. But it's like, everybody's going to have a thing that it's very difficult for somebody just to be like, I need saved.
Right.
Right. If you don't have like the negative or see how bad life could be without a savior, how are you ever going to know you need a savior?
You don't have an authentic reality.
Yeah. So I hope it's not the same path for Rowan that it was for me, that she had to,
She's a girl, so that's not
right. Yeah. Well,
that'd be way worse.
yeah.
I hope not.
Yeah. But it's like, I hope she doesn't have to drink everything in sight and, do the things that I did to try and get attention or whatever throughout her teenage years, or, even just be so dumb to realize she needs a savior. But I also like, I don't want to like say you can't ever leave our house so that you don't do those things, because it's a really difficult thing to where I don't know as parents what you do, I don't want her to experience like heartache and those kind of things, but I know she will, and I don't want her to do the things that I did. But it's also like, in a weird way, I wouldn't trade those things, because it led me to realize that like life on earth is empty unless you have a relationship with Jesus. So it's kind of like this, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm making sense. And it's just a weird thing that like I hadn't thought about until I was a parent. It's like, I want her to struggle. I want her to have these things to where she understands, or like it would be great if she just understands she needs a savior. That would be cool.
Did your parents like keep it pretty locked down?
Maybe on the like, my parents were just very consistent our whole life, which I think is one of the greatest blessings they gave us. Locked down, maybe. Like, I remember like certain movies maybe we wouldn't watch, but then I also remember like watching like Band of Brothers with my mom during Christmas break one year. She's like, we're renting all 10 of them, and we watched these like World War II soldiers like in it, you know, like, so it's not like, I think they were just like trying to make sure whatever that we saw, they had kind of like looked at. But then as like, I don't think they were that strict, you know, like they were very probably trusting of us in a way that we didn't earn and wasn't, but like they were okay if we were running around with our friends. Mm-hmm. Like if we had a girlfriend or something, they would be like, obviously you're not going up to your own bedroom.
Right.
So like if that's strict, like, yeah, they were strict, but they were fine if we had friends over, girlfriends over. Like they were very welcoming to those kind of things. And the funny thing, and what I praise my parents so much for this, but we would have like Friday night campfires at our house after football, and we were terrible at football, but like everybody was coming to the Kennedy's house for, my mom made like nacho hot dogs, you know, or like nacho cheese hot dogs, and dad would start a big pallet fire, and it was a cool thing, honestly, for a couple of years. Like it was like we were going out there, and we went 2-9 my senior year, so we won 2 games. But every home game we were going out to our house, and you know, those were Friday nights, but then like Saturdays we would still try to have a campfire or something at our house. And my parents were really consistent, and I praise them for this. It was like, if people stay here Saturday, they're coming to church Sunday. So there's me and the boys like trying to like hide our beer cans. I have a great story about this, and like probably not feeling good, but like I don't know, honestly. I don't keep up with a ton of my friends from high school, but I wonder what those Sunday mornings meant, and like it'd be cool to see
what that did.
Yeah.
Did you guys go to WCC at that point?
We went to WCC during high school.
I think I caught you guys a couple times.
Yeah.
Coming to church on your senior year, because I was just starting to go to WCC my freshman year.
Yeah, would have been that same time. Mm-hmm.
Like you guys are like, we're here.
Yeah, we were idiots, you know.
That wasn't bad.
But
that's a good church.
Yeah, dude, it was a great church. But just a funny story about like my dad, and like, again, was he strict? Not like, no, I think he was just kind of like riding the line and living his life and, you know, doing good stuff. But he was so funny about things, and I look back and I'm just so thankful. I probably should have these conversations with him, but we had a couple of nights where like we try to be sneaky about having beer, right? Mm-hmm. So whoever brought the beer would like put it out in the field in this like tall grass, and we'd wait until all the parents left or whatever, and then you bring the beer back, and we would keep it in these like black trash bags. And then at the end of the night, this is me, my genius. Well, we don't throw them in our trash can because like mom and dad don't drink beer, so we can't put it in our like recycling that's going out to the road.
Right.
So I'm like, I got it. Like, I'll just throw it in the field across the fence.
Oh my gosh.
So like beans are up, right? It's great. You throw it over in the beans, and you know, but then it was like harvest time, and dad's like, why are there like 7 black trash bags with beer cans right like
right next
like
door.
We're looking at your fence. It was like right across, and I was like, well, actually I have no explanation, you know. It's just like stuff like that where he was just like so funny, and he'd be like, you guys wouldn't believe what I just found out there, like where do you think that came from? Dane and I were like tried to come up with something like, I don't know why somebody would walk it 70 yards off the road and throw it out right here where the, you know, straight out from the campfire would be. So yeah, they were really patient about that, where I'm sure that they're just praying and like thinking like, these guys are idiots, man, you know, like just
I'm gonna love them through it and
just praying that they, you know, we'd wake up. And I don't know that we're there yet, but you know, it's cool to have parents who had something grounded, you know, as like their faith, and they've walked it for my whole life, you know, which has been cool to see, and kind of see the fruits of it now.
And I think, I want to talk to your dad at some point. I want to podcast with your dad.
Yeah,
he's got a story that would impact a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I know like my mom too. I feel like she's been through. It's just our whole family.
Yeah.
In some level.
But what's fun about it is like it's real, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of back to the whole idea of like, what do you want people to walk through? And it's, you know, we're all going to walk through something, you know, and that's the thing about parenting is you try to avoid any of those things, but realizing that like, okay, when you do hit something, like what are you going to fall back on?
Right.
And, yeah, man, my parents, just to start with them, like, it's really cool to think about this. And I've tried to keep it in mind. But my grandma Becky, who's my mom's mom, she's been in a home for like 3 years, you know, with dementia, which is like super sad. And then my step grandpa Gene passed shortly after she went in there, and but it's been so interesting for me to think about like what a kind of unfair ending to her earthly life that is. But I am so thankful. My mom's told me stories, and if it wasn't for her, when my parents were dating, they met when they were 16. Okay. And they met when they were 16, and they were getting married. I don't know a lot about their early relationship, but they got married relatively young in their 20s.
Yep.
And Grandma Becky told my mom, who my mom was a believer, and she went to church with Grandma Becky, but she said, if he's not a Christian, like it's going to be a really, really difficult life, you know, to be unequally yoked. And because of her testimony, her faithfulness through that time, Grandma Becky, like obviously that spurred dad and mom, however it worked, but like they became a Christian household. And I look back and I'm like, man, that, and then I just think about us 4 kids because of Grandma Becky planting that seed and being faithful her entire life.
And your dad is first generation Christian. First ever. He's a pioneer at that point.
Well, then you think of the greater Kennedy family. Like, I don't know when your mom found faith. It was when she was in the Air Force. Okay. So she's out in California.
Early on. Yeah.
So her and dad might have chatted about that briefly. But then I think about, and Grandma, I mean, the cool thing about Grandma was like seeing some of her notes that Modi and all of them found as they like went through, and like Campus Crusade 1964 or so whatever it was. And she's got like these booklets and like underlining about like the gospel and stuff. And I'm like, of course, because you meet Grandma, you're like, she knows Jesus, dude. Like that lady loved well. She loved anybody and everybody.
She was like she was love. 100%.
There was not somebody that came to her door that she would even, you know, blink an eye at showing hospitality to. And I'm like, man, to embody that. But so yeah, obviously there was that in her household. I'm sure Grandma was a powerful force. But then I think about like my dad, and he's obviously just my entire life he's been faithful to his faith. He's walked it. I'm sure there's been so many times where he's like, I don't know what to do. Like, and he's just praying through life, like as we do now. And I understand a little bit more now as a dad, but.
And we're blessed because we can ask our dads.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Your dad
your dad didn't have that.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's been cool to, back to the whole Grandma Becky thing. It's like, man, like how cool is it that, you know, because of that conversation when they were thinking about getting married, just look at the ripple effects. And I've just, you know, I'm so thankful for her. And it's just such an interesting thing to think about, like how that has led to, and I think about my parents and, man, the churches they've belonged to and the people they've impacted, and you know, obviously us as kids, and how that's all could be traced back to 1982 and Grandma Becky planting that seed of like, I wouldn't marry this guy if he's not a Christian.
Wow.
Right.
They get married in 82?
No, but I was doing the quick math on like when they were 18, and I think that's when they graduated.
I think my mom was the last one to get married. Out of all.
Yeah.
It was 91.
Yeah, because it was like 85,
maybe
87.
Haas was the last one. It was right around.
Probably. Yeah, but I mean, think about that. And I mean, aside from faith, you think about like the Kennedy family and just like the example of family that you and I have had. Like to think about 5 siblings and like no divorces.
Yep.
You know, 20 some cousins that you and I get to,
Yep.
you know, and we all enjoy.
Before he came over, my daughter was like, tell me your cousins' names. And so I sat there and I was like, well, which one? Which family member? Is it Matt's family? Do you want to know Haas's? Do you want to know Modi's? Do you want to know Chad's? She's like, and so she was walking through, and I would tell her every single family member. And she's like, that is so cool to have. 17, 18 cousins you can just like rattle off.
Now we can't even keep up with all the second cousins and stuff. But it's,
I know some of my cousins' kids.
Yeah.
Barely.
Yeah, and I the beautiful thing about it is like I take a little pressure off myself with that. Is like that's not. I mean, it's great if you do, but it's not our responsibility. It's. I think about like you're the J Nimps family, and like you guys, I'm sure have your own. Yeah, somebody's ripping through Goshen.
Welcome to Goshen.
You guys have your own holiday traditions and stuff like that, and family dinners, and we have that as well. And I'm like, okay, you take a little pressure off where it's like that was what grandma's was for us because we were first cousin.
Right.
You know what I mean. So
right, there'll be that connection with your family.
Yeah,
it's interesting. I'll say in my world, I had two very stark differences: the Kennedy family, which was so close, and so together. And then the Nimps family, like I don't know my cousins on that side.
You don't at all?
It's like two polar.
Did you guys ever gather?
I have a cousin named Jay.
Oh, nice.
And I've met him twice.
Jay, like the letter, like your dad? Nice.
I think he was named after my dad.
Oh,
Not
cool.
100% sure.
Yeah.
But and I've seen my uncle on that side.
Quick side note, I can't help it, but Blackthorn Golf Club where I played today is on Nimps Parkway, South Bend.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so sorry.
Yes, sir.
There we go.
I like it. Named after the best.
Yeah. So yeah, let's jump into that real quick. Like why not? Why do you are they not from around here or
different people?
Okay.
They are yes and no. They are and then they are not from around here. They live like close.
Sure.
Within the same distance that we live.
You could make it over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the philosophy of the families are different. A lot of it is grandma.
Okay.
Grandma embodied love. She embodied family. I have memories of grandpa. Like I do have memories of grandpa's side. Not as much because he died in 2009.
Yeah.
So, but there's something to the Kennedy side where it is very family focused.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel it even now. Like past grandma's side, there's still like we are family. We're gonna spend time together. We will love each other through everything, whether we love each other or not. There will be love, and I think that's grandma.
Yeah,
and so, two different worlds.
Yeah,
and there wasn't a family focus on the other side. Now my dad loves, whether you realize it or not, or if you ever felt it or not, he does love the family aspect that the Kennedy side brings. And it's like, man, there's something beautiful to this.
Yeah.
I mean, we all see it too.
Yeah.
And so.
What you think about too, just, probably don't, we don't give them enough credit, but like our parents for making those trips and stuff on Sundays or whatever, it wasn't always like a holiday. Obviously those were the big gatherings, but like they did a really good job of getting down there. Mm-hmm. And, we're thankful for it now when you think about just like the ripple effects in our own life. Like
touch points. For
example, like you and I, relatively close in age. Dane is your age. I'm a couple years younger.
I'm in between both of you.
Yeah, you're right in the middle. Mm-hmm. Would have known each other, would have been friendly. But then we moved to Arizona and like you come out and we were like, I think we talked about a lot of the same things that we were struggling with, enjoying in life or whatever. And it was just like the first time in my life that I was like, and it was like a very cool way of getting to know each other super well out there.
Some of those just showing up like, hey, I'm a
but because like the thing is like, not that we weren't close. I don't mean to say that, but because we were cousins, you're like, hey dude, I'm coming to Arizona. You live there? And we're like, yeah, you're staying at our house. And it was just like,
yep.
So then that happened a couple of times. And then I think now, like, that's a really beautiful thing to happen when you're 19 or 20, because now we have our whole lives. And I'm not saying that we wouldn't be doing this or whatever, but it's like, that all helps pave the way for, like, as adults, you don't have to be friends as cousins.
No. Yeah.
But we get to.
Right.
And if you go to Wabash, Indiana, like, there's 15 people that you could probably call any of them and be like, hey, I'm going to stop by. And it's, whether you're going to like, LaGrow or you're heading over to Manchester, like there's just all of those cousins, and each one of them we could have conversations with. And there's so many people that would just be excited to host you. And there's so many families in the world that don't have any of that.
Right.
Right. And
such a blessing.
You think about business wise, like I'm probably, you know, just the most, I like to think I'm the most blessed because I've had, you know, people that I'm chatting with you and we've talked about business, and then Brecken has pulled me into his business and just taught me the ways. And then you need to learn from, you know, other people, and there's always somebody that can help you. And I'm like, what a cool thing when you think about like the Kennedy family and just their resources too, where it's like, all right, somebody's going to have an answer to that.
Yeah.
You know, or like the actual equipment you need to fix whatever problem you've got. And like, that's a cool thing about family. And I think that stems from grandma and like her legacy of like, show up and you help people whatever way you can.
You love them.
Yeah.
Regardless, always, through it all.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I have some memories of when I was young coming over.
Yeah.
I think my sisters and your sister all would hang out at my parents' house, and then I would spend time at your house, and then we'd flop.
Yeah.
And
I remember your basement in Goshen at your parents' house.
Yeah.
It was concrete.
Yeah.
So we'd have a lot of fun down there, like just zooming around those little posts and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I remember those kind of things.
They're in the same house.
Yeah, still.
Same old house, yep.
Wait, was it like a new build when they got in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, just...
And my parents, same house in Bourbon.
Yeah.
2000.
I remember driving to your parents' house before you guys moved in.
Okay.
I go back to Notre Dame. I remember running up that hill.
You would have come to our first house.
To your
Yeah,
first
in
house,
South Bend.
South Bend. I remember running up that hill.
Yep.
I remember peeing in the wood, peeing in the woods.
Yeah.
I remember playing Nintendo NS or
Yeah.
whenever the duck hunting game.
Yeah, and Grandma would have watched us probably a few of those nights there
Yeah,
too.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, but before you guys moved, we went. My mom wanted to see it so bad, so we went. You guys had not moved in yet.
You drove to Bourbon.
Drove to Bourbon and walked onto the farm and talked to the people that you guys bought the house from.
That's so funny.
And then had them show us around.
That's so your mom too. You know what I mean? Like, so funny.
I mean, I'm like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, walk through your living room, like walk
Oh, yeah.
through a lot of the stuff. It was some Hispanic couple or something that was. Like,
Yeah. It was like a family farm for years, and I think there was people renting it, and then my parents bought it, and you know, but.
I'm like, God.
I think about back to the South Bend house, you running up and peeing in the woods and stuff like that. Like it was so nice to be at the end, you know, and I was telling Dad, like he's an auction guy, but at some point he brought home pickaxes, like mining pickaxes.
No way.
And I remember being on the hill, and it was like, we were just out there like chopping the hill to like see what kind of wood not wood, but rocks we'd come up with. And he was like, seriously? And I was like, Dad, like this is a core memory of mine. Like, I don't know where you got the pickaxes. And maybe they were regular axes, but we thought they were pickaxes. And yeah, just funny to have that, and then obviously to move out there. But I remember you coming over, and we would have had our go-kart at the time, and probably our four-wheelers. And Grandma was watching us one time, and we were like having that was when Halo came out, and we're having like straight up Halo wars with BB guns, and it's like there's nothing like a Red Barn hayloft to be shooting somebody out of. And I think about that, and I'm like, man, it's again such a lucky thing that nobody actually got hurt in those situations, because we were not wise about our hangouts. But yeah, I remember.
You had fun though.
Yeah. You'd come over, and then obviously our sisters would hang out, and you know,
It was like 1 week out of the summer.
Yeah.
Or like a couple summers where they'd flop.
there was some sort of McDonald's in like Shipshewana or something too that had a play place, and our moms would meet up there with us, and we'd play at the play place.
Yeah.
I don't know where it is.
Yeah,
You'd be able to tell me maybe, but it's in between our two houses. I know that.
Yep.
So
And I also have a core memory of us driving in Grandma's black van down to
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Remember the water heater, or not the
Something broke.
the radiator? Yeah, dude, your dad was just driving that thing with like the heat on blast. So we're just all sweating our balls off in there.
We had issues. There were some major issues. I think he's told me that the brakes went out too at one point.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was just not good.
But back to like what a cool thing, because we got everybody down there for those couple of trips. That one, we had the were you at Chicoteek when we went and watched the horses over in Virginia?
I don't think I was
Your
there.
family didn't go, but
No.
we did do the Kansas trip.
Kansas trip, and then were you at the houseboat?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man. Those are good trips, dude.
Yeah.
It's like,
I remember playing Monopoly with Dylan.
yeah.
And there's a big houseboat and a small houseboat.
Two. Yeah, next to each other. I remember Grandpa getting the ski pole off of the back of one like in the boat. Like he had his skis in the water, and he was sitting on the back of one of the houseboats and pulled him up onto like go water ski.
No way.
Yeah,
And
I have a vivid memory of that.
that's crazy. There's just some like little things like that I remember.
Yeah, so they did a good job. I think about that with my parents sometimes too. Like they've done some good trips for just us. You know, we went down and we were in Kentucky. Have you been to the Noah's Ark thing down there?
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
So we did that as a family last year, and it's like now that I'm a parent, I'm like, all right, we gotta rally the troops.
Do more vacations.
Yeah.
Like that. Mm-hmm.
And it's always fun when mom and dad are like, yeah, we'll pay for it. And we're like, yeah, perfect. We'll meet you there.
Yeah, sign me up. Sign me up.
I'm in. No, but the Kansas trip, dude. You told me you're going to Kansas.
Yeah. Yeah. Tomorrow night I'm going to drive to Kansas City.
What are you doing in Kansas?
So I'm going to be seeing my grandpa on my dad's side.
Okay.
His step grandpa, and he is getting rid of some stuff, and so we're going to grab it and then drive it back home.
No kidding. Mm-hmm. How is this like a meet and greet, or have you known him?
I've known him 3 times in my life. I've seen him, and then I saw him recently. I went out Allison's. So I told you there's been like 3 or 4 people on my podcast who have passed away.
Yeah.
And then I've had podcasts with them. Allison's aunt died on like March this year, and I have a podcast with her, and she passed away just like it was really weird, like it was just a freak thing, and so we went out to the celebration of life, and we were kind of like the only family from Indiana that went out for that, and so it was good. It was so good to be. It was, and again, it's embodying grandmas always show up type thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, hey, we're gonna be there. We want to represent. We want to love on people. You know, it's so. But before we went out, we flew into Kansas City, and I saw him, and I saw he got to see Cohen, he got to see Noah, he got to see my family, and we just got to spend time with him. And so, and then we made arrangements to come back, and I'm going to see him again.
Nice.
And I'll bring my dad. He hasn't seen him in a while, so
yeah. So you and dad are driving out tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Nice, dude. That'll be cool too to have some road trip time. Just you got a podcast
already set up that we're going to listen to. It's going to be like this, like it's an audiobook. It's 16 hours of like the secret history of Freemasonry.
Oh, dude.
Or like secret societies.
Yeah.
Pump for it. Pump for it.
That'll be fun, man.
I got it queued up. We're gonna be it'll be a good time. We're gonna go out there, and then we'll come back. And we're gonna take our time. We're gonna hit some wineries. So
It's a little dad
Kansas.
father son road trip. Nice.
So.
Yeah, I was thinking like Kansas. We did the
covered wagon.
Yeah, the covered wagon train, man.
Just slow moving.
Well, and I talked to my mom about it recently, which is funny that this comes up, but she was like, it was one night.
Really?
And I was like, no, Mom. I was like, Mom, we were on the wagon train for weeks. Yeah. She was like, no, it was one night. And I was like, I don't think. But it was like,
I remember one night at campfires. That's it. So that's all it was. That tracks.
So it was like you drove to a spot, then it was westernized. You know, they had the actual wagon trains. They had actual people dressed up as cowboys and pilgrims, basically. And then we dressed the part. Mm-hmm. And then you stayed. Your accommodation was the wagon. It was kind of like a little bed type thing for the parents or whatever. And like I think we were in tents or something underneath. I don't know exactly where we slept, but yeah, they did a really good job. And I remember the breakfast was like up on top of the pots, and like the biscuits cooked on top, and and then we had these little like wagon chain blue
tin
cups when you wrap your bandana around it so you could drink your hot chocolate. And
yeah, I remember that too.
Man, but I could have sworn it was like a 3-week cattle drive. Like we were out there working it, but no, Mom was like, no, it was the night, and I was like, okay, that's fair enough.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were probably like 5 or 6.
Oh yeah, we were little.
Yeah.
We were older when we went to North Carolina.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, that was right before like 5th grade for me, so it was probably 10.
Yeah.
So
10.
Yeah, some fun trips, man, when you think about it. But I'm a little jealous of your dad road trip, man. That'll be
good.
I think about that with my dad a lot. I just love.
You call him a lot, don't you?
Yeah.
That's a cool thing.
I call so when I moved to Arizona, I realized.
Which one was that again? since it wasn't on this podcast, when did you?
Oh, 2016.
Okay.
Yep.
July 16th.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, 2016, January 4th was my first day of teaching in Arizona. Man, I got to give you the whole.
No, we don't have to.
No, but
You guys are gonna have to figure out how to recreate.
yeah, we lost 40 minutes of audio, but no, when I moved out there and started teaching, I realized that if I wasn't intentional, I was gonna lose a little bit of touch with my parents because, well, one,
The distance.
but two, I had not been very good through college at keeping in touch with them. So
But you were 35 minutes away.
yeah, I was close.
Like,
Like,
you could-
I saw them as more than they probably wanted to see me, so it was like, whatever.
I don't know. Moms love. They're good.
Yeah, but it was just like, man, I really want something special to just try to stay in touch. And my dad's not a texter. I'm not a texter, honestly. I'm a phone call guy, and I'd love to. 2 minutes on the phone is easier than 45 minutes through text for me personally. So, what I started was on Mondays mornings, I would call Dad, on the way to work. What's up, man, and what happened this weekend. We'd have a couple of minute conversation, and then on Friday mornings I would call Mom. She'd give me the week recap and then tell me what they're planning on their fun Friday or what they're doing for the weekend. And then, yeah, honestly, so that's been 10 years.
Wow.
I don't get them every and I have to apologize. Sometimes it's a Tuesday I call my dad, or I miss my mom. Fridays I'm probably less. I do a pretty good job, honestly, but sometimes I miss it, and it's like a week off or whatever. But
It happens.
that, to me, that rotation, that rhythm has been one of the biggest blessings. Just to I don't know if they look forward to it as much as I do, but I'm like, what's going on? And then, now it's all like, what's Rowan up to? And I'm like, yeah, well, great. I'm sure.
Yeah. What
Thanks
about
for
me?
wanting to talk
Yeah,
about
what
me,
about you? Yeah.
But it's, no, I'm happy to give them the update. And it's been cool. It's funny because, they're together most of the time when I have these conversations, but sometimes Dad's on his way to work already. And, it's just it's been a cool thing. And honestly, it's just a reminder, as well as I do, whether it's me first or them first, at some point, one of us is not going to be around to have that conversation all the time.
Right.
And I just, every time, it takes 3 minutes,
Right.
but it lets somebody that I love very much know that I'm thinking about them. And honestly, it's cool to get the update.
Yeah.
So
Touch points.
I'm so thankful that I don't know where it came from. Maybe it was just out of necessity of living out of state, but I'm not sure I would have found that rhythm had I not moved out of state. So
Right.
that's kind of a cool thing.
That's a whole, yeah. Do you feel like, because I lived in Florida for a year.
Yeah.
And so do you feel like going to Arizona was kind of like you leaving the castle and slaying your dragon and going on your adventure to be like the man that you should have been in some ways?
Yeah. I think the dragon is still out there to be slain. It's funny.
New level, new devil.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned offshoot on Arizona. I worked out with a couple of guys from my church in Arizona.
Okay.
And one of them was our youth pastor for a while at the church. And we ended up calling the workout crew Dragon Fit.
Really?
And it was because he had this crazy dream of a dragon one time that he was trying to chase. And it's just so funny to think about that you just asked about slaying the dragon. That's exactly where I went to, was Jeff and Zach and Mark. And those are my guys that I worked out with in Dragon Fit workout club. It was our own thing. It wasn't even a real thing.
It's just you guys.
One time Jeff got us Christmas shirts that say Dragon Fit. I'm sure I have it somewhere at home. But I think the dragon is still out there for me, which I would love to, not to get into a midlife crisis, but I think that I'm still trying to figure out what the next thing to tackle is, and maybe that's something I'm trying to deal with, but it's I have always felt like there's a challenge to be accepted. But with Arizona and moving away from everything that was comfortable for me in 2016 to start my first job, I do think, yes, it felt like a huge adventure that we don't get anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then two, it was without a doubt the biggest and quickest growing up that I could have ever done. It was obviously the simple things that you got to pay for stuff. You got to do things that you're not ready for. But it was so not lonely. Dane was there, but we were kind of lonely together. Whereas man, it's just you and me. What are we doing?
Figure this out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I attribute that to the person that I am today, like, I don't think I've slayed the dragon, I guess, is the preface there. But, like, for me to be the husband and the father that I am right now, I think has greatly been impacted by the fact that I left home, and I left home in a way that was really far. And there was not a whole lot of safety net.
Yeah, you can't just go drive home.
No, man. And I needed it, you know, because I was pretty immature going into that. That's fun to be able to, like, have a natural thing kind of make you mature quicker.
Yeah, no, it really probably shaped you in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You're out there for how long?
Yeah, so I lived there for 2016 to 2021. So just 5 years, 5.5 school years. Man, it's so funny to think about, like, how we ended up out there too. Because I was finishing up my degree at Bethel, and I had an extra semester because my friends all graduated in May that year, but I had to go till December because of student teaching. So I student taught in Bremen, Indiana, which...
Oh, really?
Bremen Public Schools, man, when I was there, huge fan. Like, if I could have got a job, dude, I would have loved it.
It's so small.
Yeah.
Wouldn't peel.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that pizza.
It's the only school that I know of, and maybe they've changed so far, but that has K-12 under the same roof.
Really?
You can walk the hallways, and it's
high school to really,
but it's completely separate, except there's this one weird hallway that kind of connects the two. So that was the kind of their claim to fame.
Crazy.
Yeah, and some great mentor teachers there. I would have really liked a job there, but I graduated in December, so nobody's looking to hire a PE teacher in December. And I had just kind of learned about, honestly, there's a couple of things where it's like, all right, I want to go somewhere warm if I'm going to go. So I was looking in some different places. I actually looked in Indianapolis, which is not any warmer, but that's where Tyler,
slightly warm.
T. Swick, my roommate from college, was living in Carmel, and he was working down there. So I had looked at a few jobs there. They didn't work out. So I was like, man, I don't want to do any laborious jobs. I want to go and do the thing that I've just been studying for. Mm-hmm. So I am coaching 5th grade basketball at Bremen. I fill out, I'm subbing at Bremen in the library. I'll never forget. Like, so the cool thing about teaching K-12 is, like, you get 5th graders, then you get high schoolers. And so I had just done strength training with these high schoolers for 4 months while I student taught. And then I'm finished student teaching, but now I'm subbing there because I'm already in the building.
Yeah.
And I'm subbing in the library.
Right.
And these jock athletes come in, dude, and they're like, what's up, Mr. Kennedy? And I'm like sitting there like sorting library books. And I was like, this isn't it, you know? Yeah. And they're kind of like, they were great. They weren't making fun of me, but I remember being like, all right, dude, this isn't it either. So, yeah, looking for a PE job. Ended up in my Indeed search was Arizona. Found this PE teaching job open in January. Halfway filled it out on the way to a 5th grade basketball game I was coaching. Get a call the next day. I remember that Sharon Marine was my principal. She's like, you want to talk about this job? And I was like, I didn't even finish the application. And that probably should have warned me on, like, how desperate they were. She's like, no, I mean, you filled out enough. Like, let's have a conversation. So, you know, on the way to a game, I'm having this conversation. I get a call the next day, and it's the HR person. She's like, we've got a job for you.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. But it starts in 2 weeks, and can you be here? And I was like, I mean, I really don't have anything else going on.
This is December, right?
Yeah, and I'd never flown. I was
That's crazy.
pretty sheltered in that sense. Like, yeah, like Bethel was 30 minutes away. We'd been to Florida a few times as family.
Drove or whatever.
Yeah, but it was
when you have 4 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, I mean, my parents took us on vacations, but genuinely, and the more I know my parents, like, they don't really enjoy vacations. Like, they like being home, you know, and that's totally fine. I mean, they do well when they do vacation, but so anyways, we had been home, and I didn't know anybody in Arizona. There was nothing that said that's a good idea. Mm-hmm. Tyler, my roommate, was really like, he had spent a summer in Phoenix on an internship. He's like, dude, it's great out there. Mm. And then Dane had, as you remember, probably 2016 October, he calls it retired. After 3 long years of working in a factory in Warsaw, he's like, dude, I'm retired. I'm out. And everybody's like, what are you doing? He's like, I got enough money. He's like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
He'd been living at home. I'd been going to school.
Loved that.
Yeah.
She talked about that so much to me.
Yeah.
About how much she loved him going just adventuring.
So we bought a 2003 Chevy Avalanche, mint condition. He loved that thing. And then he's like, I'm going October 10th or whatever he said the date was. We were like, dude, you are crazy.
Yep.
And he just started driving around. And I remember getting a call from like him in Mississippi. And he's like, oh, dude, I was at the LSU Georgia game last night, you know, football. And I'm like, how did you end up there? He's like, I don't know, but I was at the tailgate. And I was like, where'd you sleep? He's like, man, don't worry about it. You know, so those kind of things where he would just like, he was driving. And I know he had been making his way west. And so, of course, as timing would have it, he'd been in California with another dude that graduated from high school with us. And he was in the military out there. But Dane couldn't stay with him. And, you know, I'm sure he was getting tired of being on the trip. So as I got the job, I was like, hey man, Phoenix is relatively close. I just got this job offer. Like, what do you think? Like the contract's 5 months. You want to go try this out? And he was like, yeah, dude, I don't have anything going. And I was like, perfect. So a day later after that, you know, 5th grade basketball game or whatever, I'm flying out. Dad's driving me to Chicago. And I remember the drive with my dad. And
no way.
I'm like, he had to be thinking like, what is going on with my sons?
Send him out.
Yeah. So we drive around. I meet the people at my school. I start to feel like, oh, this is probably a good idea. We drive around.
Dane picked you up.
Dane picked me up at the airport.
Crazy.
Yeah, he just drove over from LA. You know, no big deal. 5 hours down the highway, and we found
so
this
cool because it's such a long drive from Indiana.
Mm-hmm. He was already there. Yeah, had tons of stuff in his truck. Like he was there ready to live. You know, which was great.
Yeah,
and we randomly come across this apartment, which later you got to come visit. You know, nice 2-bedroom. It was fine for us. And
as we're talking about it, I think Dane's what brought me out.
Yeah, probably.
I think Dane
he probably invited you.
Talking to a girl, and he was trying to, because I was working at a travel agency at that time.
Oh yeah,
and he was trying to get it all worked out to figure out. Like, I think Dane reached out to me to get us.
Yeah, and then the second time was when you were actually selling stuff for your crazy, because you came out twice.
Because the first time our flight was delayed, and he called me. I remember him calling me and being like, "What can you do as a travel agent to get a private plane, fly out here as soon as possible?" I'm like,
it's not.
There's nothing I can do. I'm so sorry.
I remember hiking and saw a picture of you on my phone, like at the top of one of those mountains. So, but yeah, man. So we found that apartment, and I started teaching, and didn't know anything, but I had really good friends out there. Monica was the music teacher at my school, and she was she still is. She's still there. She's so good at her job. So she basically taught me how to teach. School teaches you how to teach, but like you learn it when you're doing it.
Yeah, and from the greats.
Yep. And so, but Dane doesn't get enough credit for his role in me being successful as a teacher, because I moved out there. I had like $700 in my bank account, enough for like 1 month rent. And I had no car. And so he faithfully woke up, man, every day. I like to get to school. We started at 7. I like to be there by 6. So I'm shaking him at like 5:30. And he would drive the 15 minutes up, drop me off at school. And then days, if I didn't have a drive home, he would come get me. And like, I'm so thankful. Like, my mom told me, and you don't put a whole lot of credence into it when they say stuff like this. And I was 22 at the time, but she's like, you're going to be so thankful for these months with your brother when we moved out there. And like, I'm sure they were scared and worried about us, but like, they were glad we were together. And like, I look back and I'm like, man, I am, you know, like we slept on recliners for months. Finally bought a bed when our parents were like, hey, we're coming to visit. We're like, oh, we should probably go get some beds, you know? But this is a cool thing. I think this is worth saying, but like we moved in on a Saturday. The electric company wouldn't turn on our power till Monday. So we wake up Sunday morning in a brand new city, and I'm like, dude, we got to get some coffee, you know, because we couldn't even turn on our coffee pot. And Dane was like, dude, you know, like when we used to go to church with Mom and Dad, they would like have coffee brewed on Sunday mornings. And I was like, yeah, they would. So we like go around the corner, two corners, and we pull in. And the night before on a Saturday, we had seen people opening the doors and like hosting people in, and turns out it was Palm Valley Church having a Saturday night service. So we're driving around again on Sunday, and we had kind of planned on like going to find a church, because Dane was like, churches have, you know, coffee. And so we walk into Palm Valley Church on that Sunday morning, before we had a power, and we got our cups of coffee, and I'll just never forget, like, we listened to a sermon, and it was about this pastor. He's telling a joke about his family getting sick on the night before. He's like, here we are on New Year's Eve, everybody's throwing up, and we don't even drink. And I remember Darius Sanders' joke on his sermon, but it was so cool because then I attended that church for the next 6 years.
Wow.
And
wow.
it genuinely started because we didn't have power until Monday.
Eat coffee.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
How funny is that?
That's great.
But we knew when we were going to a new city, we were like, all right, we're going to be grounded in something.
Yeah.
Mom and dad did a good job of planning. You need a church family. These people will help you out. And honestly, that was a big part of everything out there. My workout friends were guys from the church, and just a lot of my activities that I did at those first couple of years were youth oriented or people from the church. And so funny to see how that kind of played into it, and that gave us a start out there. And then the next 5 years, spent at Estrella Mountain Elementary. That's where I taught and learned how to be a teacher. Met my wife, dude. Yeah. So that's a story in itself.
Before we get to that, I remember when I was out there one time talking to you, and you were telling me that it was difficult to get. I mean, you're in Arizona. It's warm out. We don't have the winters there. It was just beautiful. There's tons of stuff to do. You're like, it's so hard for me to get these kids to move. They just do not want to move. They just want to chill. Was that something that you saw? I mean, I remember chatting about that a little bit while we were there.
What's crazy is with that still, so I've been teaching for
15 years?
No, 10 now, which is kind of crazy.
11.
So 10, a couple of years have been at a summer camp, but 5 years at the school, 2 more now in Michigan school. So 7 years of actual in-class teaching. And it's crazy because I'm sure this conversation there's people that just can't wait to move. PE class, dude, I've been waiting all day. This is the only reason I come to school. Top of the top, they're zooming when they get in there. And then there's other students, and this is probably what I was referring to with talking to you, is you ask them to have a catch with a tennis ball, and it's the most foreign, they've never picked up a ball and had a catch. And I'm like, on one end, the natural reaction is to be like, dude, how do you not know how to do this?
Right.
And then the piece that breaks my heart is oh, nobody's ever done this with you.
That's crazy.
Flip it on that end, and you're like, and so
yeah, that's tough.
That's kind of where I'm I try to use that as a reminder that it's is it this kid's fault that he can't throw very well?
Or is it the environment?
Maybe. Is it more realistic that he's been told that being outside is scary and you shouldn't throw stuff? And probably that, and the cool thing about teaching, at least in phys ed, is that I've kind of dumbed down my curriculum to I'm going to see these kids for 45-ish minutes a day for 18 weeks. And outside of that, they're probably not super active. So these 45 minutes I've got to fill with as much activity as I absolutely can, and if their heart rate goes skyrocket, then I'm doing my job. And if they're sitting and I'm talking, then I'm not doing my job.
Right.
So it has been really a good guide for me to look at how much are we moving, where's our heart rates, those kind of things. And it doesn't really matter how we do that.
As long as we're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, to your point, has it been tricky to figure out how to do that as a teacher? Yeah. Some days dancing is the kids love it. The girls in our classes going crazy. They're we're doing a line dance finally. And then other days it's okay, that's obviously only something you can pull out every now and then with teenage boys. But pickleball, man, they're going crazy for pickleball. So you have to find whatever it is in between of those things and realize I've got 80 students at a time for an hour. I want to get them their heart rate as high as possible. Knowing that, we were saying, some of these kids, the first time they've ever picked up a pickleball is when they're 12, 13, 14 in front of me. And I'm like, oh, what a hard thing, to live in
exposing them to things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I ask them to show me how to play Roblox, they're going to show me really well.
Show me your Fortnite dance.
Yeah, dude. Great. So it's out there. The cool thing that I would say about I've taught students in Arizona.
In Indiana.
I've had Indiana student teaching. I've I've been in Pennsylvania, New York area with kids from, Manhattan, New York City summer camp.
Yep.
And I've now been in Michigan, and I actually coached a basketball team in North Carolina. So those are my regions.
Yeah, you've been.
And what I would say is like kids are kids all the way through.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter their social economical background. Like they are kids, and like that's been the cool thing is like I go to these new areas and I'm like, hey, we're gonna do this thing, and I know, thankfully, because I've tried it in 4 other states, like that activity, it's gonna work. Because kids are kids. And like they want to be entertained, they want something new, and man, that's been a cool thing. So like, I'm a physical educator by trade, but it's like I'm a activity coordinator is what I really am. Like I can get a large group of people to do something on purpose, and that's been a fun thing. So yeah, Arizona taught me that, but I there were kids out there that didn't like to move. There's kids everywhere that don't like to move.
Right.
So
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, man. But
That's crazy.
Arizona, it's a good place.
Yeah. Yeah, we did a couple good hikes there.
Yeah, you came out.
And then went to Sedona. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Remember you guys talking about, and then realize how close it was to Vegas.
Yeah.
Like it's not far from Vegas.
We didn't go to Vegas together, which is good. I've been to Vegas a few times. Have you been?
I've never been.
Yeah. God, it's not.
No. I think I'll go someday. But
Yeah, like
there's conferences and
here's what I'll say about Vegas. Like I didn't get into anything real bad in Vegas, so I'm very thankful. But like I know there's people that probably have.
right.
My thing in Vegas was like, you're sitting there at 8 a.m. and there's a $5 blackjack table. And the crazy thing that we found out, my friends and I were very thankful for, if you start at 8 a.m. at Old Town Vegas, which there's the Strip and there's Old Town.
Yeah.
But in Old Town, if you start and you just keep playing, which of course you can't lose, or you just got to have a bunch of money, like one or the other. But if you keep playing, they'll grandfather you in. So 8 a.m. it's $5 a blackjack hand, or at least it was when we first went. At 11 a.m. they're going to bump it up to 10 or 15. At 12 p.m. it's 20. The table just keeps increasing in how much money they're going to ask. But what we found out on a few days was like we started at 8, and I don't even know how many hours it was after that. But we were playing $5 hands because we were just like, and they're like, no, you guys are good. You've been here. And so
That's
like,
cool.
Yeah, Vegas, in my mind, it's a lot of memories of that, of just like a couple of days of just nothing to do other than just hang out and gamble, whatever. And like we did a really, had a great couple of trips. But
Did you go for your like bachelor party at all or anything?
didn't go up there for that. I think one of my birthdays, I think it was like my 28th birthday, we went, Jerica took me up there. We had so much fun. And yeah, there was a time, I think 2016, that first year we were out there, shortly after you had come out and visited, we went just to say we'd been to Vegas. And
That's so sick.
yeah, dude, it was spring break actually that year. So yeah, it's it's things that I'm glad I did, but I don't need to go back and do again or anything like that. Like, so
Understandable.
Yeah.
Understandable.
but
Yeah, talk a little bit about Jerica.
yeah. So yeah, July 16, 2016, man. That's when my life began. That's what I like to tell. No, I think it's that date. I tell people, and honestly, it's funny, at summer camp, I've used that story a lot just to, people love hearing, if I got to put kids to sleep on a camping trip or something. I'm like, you guys ever hear a story about how I met my wife? And they're like, no, why would we want to know? And I'm just like, I'll tell you. But, yeah, I'd spent that first year in school, finished out my 5-month contract. Dane and I decided to stay out there, and we had some friends we had made at that time. We rented a house for the following year, so we're like, man, we're in. Phoenix is our place. But I still had stuff in Indiana. I had a car. I had a summer roofing job, which was actually really helpful for teachers. I mean, we didn't make any money, so it was like I need to come back and do something all summer. And so we came back in May that year. Spent the summer in Indiana, which was really fun. And then we were going back in July. My friend Brandon from high school as well was moving out to Arizona just to try it out. He had graduated college as well. So it's kind of this like fun Midwest, like let's get out of town. Let's go try something.
Go to the West.
So we had a 4-bedroom house. Brandon was there. One friend from Arizona, Andrew Torb, Big Torb. He was the guy.
I remember Torb.
Yeah. Sweet dude.
I played on his, first time I ever played, what was the game? I played on his Xbox.
Yeah, probably like Rocket League or something like that.
It was PUBG.
Oh, okay,
PUBG, yeah.
Yeah, dude, he's
Torb.
still one of my big, friends. When you get out there, it's like
bald. I feel like he's bald.
He's bald, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, band teacher. I mean, just one of the sweetest dudes in the world. So
I hate to throw shade on you, Torb. Sorry.
Yeah. He's not going to ever listen to this, so that's totally fine. But, yeah, so the four of us shared a house. A real quick story. We drove out, Brandon, Dane, and I, with all Brandon's stuff, with Dane and I, like we were heading out, and we're moving into this house, and we got out there on a Friday. But every Friday during the beginning of the school year, we'd go to Augie's Sports Pub, sing karaoke with our friends, which is not something I would ever do, but because I was friends with like music teachers and other like you're just partying off the weekend. So, started.
This is what they're living for.
Yeah, dude.
Sing karaoke.
Yeah, we'd go on Fridays, man, and it was fun. And it helped with like my fear of public speaking, and so did like Two Hearteds, or it was actually Kilt Lifters out there, where the beers that we would have. And so anyways, we're out there, and we get out to Arizona on a Friday, and it's July 16th, 2016, I think. I'm like, boys, Augie's. And Brandon's like, what's Augie's? I'm like, don't worry about it. We're going, So we go in there, and as soon as we get in there, we're like, oh, this bartender's new, And we're like, where are you? Because we felt like we were regulars, but it had been 3 months since we were out there, so it could have been anybody. But luckily, Dane's now wife, Carrie, my sister-in-law, and then one of our good friends, Kate, they were also both working that night. So Jerica, Kate, Carrie working.
They're pumped to see you.
Yeah, it's fun to come back and see, and Carrie taught in my district. We actually coached basketball against each other a lot. So it was like, it's people you knew, and of course we called the crew and told them we're going out. And so get there, and of course Jerica's working, and it's the first time that I see her, and that's when my life began. And so I made an absolute fool of myself. I spilled some drinks, whatever. But it was the nice thing was every time I did, she had to come over and, towel it up, and she thankfully got us more. And so Brandon and I were having a great time. It was Brandon's first ever night in Phoenix. And by the end of the night, I had figured out through multiple sources she was a teacher in training, and she's waiting her in teaching job, and this is why she's bartending. And then my friends were also teachers who were bartending. So it was like, they're like, no, he's cool. Because there's definitely sparks. Like, when you see somebody, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I couldn't wait for her to come back to our table and types, that kind of stuff. And
yeah.
But because we had this new house that we were renting, we were like having a back to school bash the next weekend. And of course I just had this like dumb line where I was like, if you give me your number, I'll send you my address, and maybe you can come meet some other teachers, or, I'm sure it didn't come off like super well at the end of the night, but
it worked.
Yeah, and she was like, here's my number, and she's like, it's 2 R's. It's like Jessica except 2 R's instead of, and I was like, I remember all that so well, like that conversation. And then the funny part was, so I texted her that week, and I was like, here's the address, and she's like, oh well, like Kate and Carrie are coming to the party, so I have to work, because she was brand new, and like of course she gets stuck with the shit.
Little man on totem pole. Yeah.
So, but she ended up coming over and met everybody, and honestly, it was just kind of like, then the next week I was like, can we go on a date? And I really tried to keep it, wholesome and not wholesome, but I at that point in my life, I just wanted to like court somebody. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Like, you actually wanted to date, and like
to know them. And
I was 22, 23, and I just didn't want I didn't want a relationship if it wasn't leading towards anything. And right. I don't think she did either. But like, since that first interactions, we pretty much have just been a couple. Mm-hmm. And one of the craziest things that I think it's fun to think about, and have you heard of the band Need to Breathe?
Yes.
Do you know them?
Yeah.
They slap. Like, they're our favorite band, right?
Oh, really? Okay. No.
So
I've heard of them. I haven't listened like extensively.
Yeah, you got to go back on Spotify, because they just had a new album, and like when you have a band that like nobody else knows about, but it's your favorite, and you just know every word to every song. And that's who they've always been for me. Like, really? As soon as I heard about them, they came out with a song called Brother by Gavin DeGraw in like 2008.
Okay.
And it's probably their most famous, but I tell that story to where it's like, we're having the like meet cute moments, right? Where you're talking about each other's pasts or whatever. And she's like, let me show you this video of this time I went to Honduras. And I was like, oh, great. Yeah, show me that video. And in the background, this is back when you make a video and you put like a background song.
It's Need to Breathe.
So it's called Multiplied. It's by Need to Breathe. And it's this amazing kind of like almost worship song. And it's, and I'm like, watching the video, but I was like, is that Need to Breathe? And she's like, you know, Need to Breathe. And like, that was when, you know, you make eye contact. And I had known this girl for, you know, 3 days or whatever. And I was like, I'm in love, you know? Wow. And it's one of those like funny rom-com stories though. But like, I go back to that, and every time I hear that song, it takes me right back to that moment. And I'm just like,
that's beautiful.
Yeah. And it honestly, it's like, I don't know where that comes from, and there's a chance that probably if I had continued going to Augie's, like we would have ran across each other, maybe. But like it just makes me, the older I get, the more I'm like, I'm so thankful for that night. And obviously, I wasn't the best version of myself or whatever, but whatever.
Yeah, but you were on the right path.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
Okay, that's fair.
I'll say that.
I'm glad you'll kind of.
As someone who's known you from zero to now, right? You were on the right path.
So. Yeah, Need to Breathe.
That's cool.
Side story about Need to Breathe. We'll go anytime if they're within 50 miles. Like we're going. And
really?
Honestly, if you haven't heard Need to Breathe, look them up. And they're better in person than they are. And I love that about a band where like when you can tell there's not really a whole lot of background, they're just jamming.
Yeah, so good.
And they have a faith too. So it's kind of like it's sprinkled in. Some of their songs are explicitly almost like a gospel song, but then others it's just this soft rock type, you know,
jamming.
We love it. So yeah,
no, I've heard of them. Just I'm not like probably way up on,
but nobody hears of them, which is why that video was like so like you know, such a cool. We're like, hey, wait, you know, and so yeah. So that's my rom-com love story.
That's so cool.
And then since then it's been,
and I mean we talked about this, but also the freaking RV. That's so sick,
yeah.
dude. The cute, like you guys built an RV together,
yeah,
and then go out on your adventure. You're married, and then you send out, and you got your tiny house with you. I like. There's some cute stuff.
Yeah,
like between you guys is very cool.
Yeah, man, and it's been an adventure. I think that was one of our big things, was just trying to do things that are maybe a little different. And obviously, the RV led to us getting to summer camp where we are now. Kind of, we took an early.
That was a whole side of things we haven't chatted about with summer camp, which is like out. And I mean, it took you to New York City. Yeah, took you guys to Pennsylvania. Like, so you guys were, I mean, running it for a minute. Yeah, Jerica's still, she's in charge. Like she's one of the big bosses now, which is cool. That's crazy.
Long story short.
How many years were you guys there?
Yeah, so 5 years of teaching, and then just felt like we needed to go adventure a little bit. And we had an RV, which we, you know, tiny home living, which worked out in Arizona, but we were like, let's go to see some stuff. And the first kind of job that worked out for both of us was this outdoor adventure job at a summer camp in Pennsylvania. But the dates didn't work for us to get back to our jobs in Arizona. So we were like, I guess we're just going to end the school year well and let everybody know we're not coming back, but then, you know, go on this adventure. And so we did, and we kind of went all in, and, you know, we're able to take the RV. RV broke down on the way to camp the first year. Spent a whole summer at this body shop in Indianapolis, and we lived in a tent at the camp.
No way.
But imagine just living in a tent with your wife, you know. It was just like, dude, we loved it, you know. And like, it's a big tent. It's like a canvas tent up on a platform. But we felt like we were so out in the wild. Like, it was just a really cool thing. And at summer camp, you don't use phones. You use walkie-talkies, and you know, we're just kind of like taking these kids out of their ordinary. And a lot of the students and kids that we work with are from New York City, Manhattan, you know. So our job that summer in 2021 was to take them from the camp, which is kind of a bougie little camp, nice cabins on the lake, you know, all the cool stuff. But then our job was to take them for 4 days in vans, 15 passengers. We'd head to northern Adirondacks mountains in New York, and we'd go hiking. We'd stay in tents, and we were kind of like the outdoor trip guides. And we're out there.
Cut them off completely.
Oh, dude, you're in the middle of basically nowhere. And, you know, it was so fun. We learned how to, like, rock climb. We're setting anchors up on the top of these 100-foot cliffs and, like, rappelling kids down into the water and, like, things that we never would have done, and which is why we were happy to go do that. Right. And, then at the end of that summer, I mean, we were a little bit older for summer camp counselors. We were about 28 and 29 at the time. And they're like, we have some roles, like, if you guys want some full-time jobs. And so I started working with the 12 to 14-year-old boys, and I was what they call the Hill Camp Boys director for 3 years. And Jerica started with the 7 to 12-year-old girls, and they call those the Lake Camp Girls. And she's still doing that role now. This is her 6th year of doing it. And she's also been, in the off-season, kind of promoted to the assistant director of the camp. And she's like, she's the camp mom to a 300 girls, and she also does all the hiring in the off season for all these staff. There's like 350 staff that come for the summer, and she's got to keep
it's a
their
whole operation.
Yeah, it's insane, and it's really cool. And I got to do that for a while, and but then it was just, for me, kind of felt like I needed to be back in the classroom. And so when a job opened up in her hometown of, Toledo, and
so that's when you guys came back to Toledo.
Yeah. So I did my role with the kids for 3 years, and just felt like I wanted to get back to more in-person things with kids. Camp is great, but in the off season, you're spending about 10 months on computers, hiring people and doing stuff. And I mean, the way that God's wired me is like, I need to be moving. I can't do the computer stuff. And so, middle school PE job opened up, and that's where our cousins go to school. They were high schoolers, and they're like, hey, we got this job that we just saw. And so I threw my name in the hat, and here I am now, starting my third year this fall at Bedford, middle school or junior high school in Michigan, and it's just north of Toledo where we live, and I love it, man. So it's been good and I can still go back to camp and see Jerica and be there all summer.
I mean, we talked a little bit about this, but you've got that free time in Michigan where it's a little bit more of
Dude, Michigan's the greatest when it comes to school. So I don't know how the days work out, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, like how different schools do things. But in Michigan, there's like a strong 3-month block in the summer. So we ended at June 5th, and we don't go back until September 8th. And come on.
12 weeks.
It's 12 weeks of summertime, which again is just one of the big benefits of being a teacher. And I don't shy away from that. I don't want to brag about it because I know people have to work all summer long, but I don't, so it's nice.
You're probably still working. Other stuff, right?
Yeah. So I also, I'm a relatively new real estate agent.
What, a year or two?
Yeah, I'm about a year and a half in with my license, working for Mossy Oak Properties, Michigan.
Shout out to Brecken.
Shout out Brecken. Shout out, Chad, the owners there. Cassandra, Brecken's wife, is our broker, and she makes sure that we're like in line with everything, with all the paperwork, and she's very knowledgeable in it. And that's been its own adventure and such a blessing.
How'd that come up?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been outdoorsy or tried to be.
We talked about shooting chipmunks.
Yeah, dude. We have a chipmunk problem at our house in Toledo, and Jerica's like, how do we get rid of them? And I was like, we shoot them with a bow. And she's like, what are you talking about? And my mind went back to Grandma's house and Matt's property across the road in the woods. And when we were younger, I don't know how many times it happened, but I vividly remember practicing with our bows. And when I was learning how to shoot them, Brecken and TJ and Tanner and Dylan and those guys would be out, and we'd walk through Matt's woods. And if there was a chipmunk or, a rodent, and of course, sorry to everybody who thinks that's cruel, but we were practicing, and honestly, we'd hit some of them, which was cool, because they're pretty small and you're trying to shoot pretty far. And so I joke now, I'm like, I'm going to get my bow out and take care of these chipmunks. And Jerica's like, please don't, at least not in the front yard. So,
don't let rope.
Yeah. But, always, I think when we think about our lives, I always wanted to be recognized as an outdoorsy person.
Mm-hmm.
You'll appreciate this, but as I get older, I want to be, I've heard so many podcasts. I listen to guys that are, inspirational, and, I don't know who it was, and it's going to come to me at some point, but there's this dude that I listened to for a couple of years, and his whole mentality was this idea of being hard to kill. And I was like, oh man, what's that about? And then it's just this idea, and I think he's a guy that had faith, and I might be mixing up a few different podcasts, but I've always been interested in inspirational quotes and podcasts and stories. And then obviously with this Christian faith, I want to kind of match those two. And the idea of being hard to kill was just this idea of man, not that I'm actually scared for my life or whatever at any point, but I want to be physically fit enough to where I can protect somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want that to ever be an excuse to not be able to do something. And so that has helped me in my physical fitness of having that mentality of I want to be hard to mess with. I want to be hard for people to I don't want that to ever be a hindrance for me physically. and then goes along with that, like of being an outdoors person who can provide. And so I've always been attracted to hunting, to being out and about and doing things that can provide. And like it's good food and it comes from the earth, and that's how you teach your kids. And so I'm back to growing up, man, like the Eads family, and then, you know, Brecken and Dylan and Matt and, you know, the Kennedys, and like they were so gracious to Kale and I, who were novice hunters at best. Like and I remember staying at grandma's or staying at Modi's, and like they would take us out and show us how to do it, and harvesting a few deers those couple of years. And
that's cool.
So now that I've gotten older, it's kind of just this idea of like, that's who I want to identify as. Mm-hmm. And I've always been just admired their ability to do that, and I'm learning how to do that myself now in Ohio, and I've been able to harvest a few deer, and then like it's been amazing. So I've always wanted to be more outdoorsy and identify that way. And then Brecken has done that. He's been a guide. He's a hunter.
Epitome of outdoorsman.
And so then he obviously
spent years just like guiding people.
Yeah, farmland trophies and doing that stuff. And then, of course, he's
transitioned into Mossy Oak.
Yeah, very successful in Mossy Oak property. Mm-hmm. And then after quite a few years of being successful in Illinois, Indiana, he was able to purchase the Michigan franchise. Yep. And so Toledo is as far east as you can get in Ohio, or not in Ohio, but as far southeast in Michigan. So it's right on the border. And he's like, look, we just don't have anybody in that area. And he's like,
you're there.
Yeah. He's like, I don't know what you want to do for your family. I know you're a teacher. I know you have some time in the summers. And so he just kind of planted the seed and then gave me 6 months, and I'd kind of looked into it. I still didn't really know, but he was just really faithful and following up, and it was good because not that we had lost touch, but it's, you know, you get in touch with a few, you know, and I'm like, man, this could be a thing. And so we prayed about it and we talked about it, Jerica and I, and she's like, I think like you're either going to do good or you're not. You know, she's like, what's the worst? You know, it's a little bit of investment of your time and a little bit of investment of some finances, but like, let's just see. You know, and so we started, and I started, studying for the test in 2024, late 2024, and I went and took the test in 2025 in February. I had my license, and so it's been a learning year, and here we are. Like April 2026 was pretty cool, man. I closed 6 properties, like they all just lined up, and so much help from other people, right. But like just learning and
because I remember when I talked to you, I don't remember when it was, but there was sometime we connected. You're like, I think I'm about to close my first property.
Yeah, that would have been.
Was it grandma's?
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah. So September. Yeah, we were finishing up on a couple of deals, and there was one that didn't go through, but I was having some conversations, and yeah, that was. So it's been a labor of kind of learning.
It's a totally different type of thing.
Yeah. And, man, there's so much still to learn. Like it's such a diverse, and every deal can have different, pieces of it. But, Brecken was funny when he kind of recruited me. He's like, people don't mind talking to you. And, as long as you follow up and you're honest with people, and like, it's just little principles. And, I think he's right, and that's been really good for me is like, this teaching thing is my passion, but I also have these outdoorsy passions, so they kind of go together. And the teaching thing gives me a chance to not be worried about my paycheck from Mossy Oak. So if I go to meet with you and you're a landowner, like if you want to do a deal, you want me to list your thing, great. Like, and there's the urgency because I want to do a good job for you.
Right.
But I'm not worried about like if my paycheck's coming because teaching's there, so I think that makes,
but it can also elevate your paycheck or where you're at.
Yeah, it's been amazing, and hopefully that could be a thing to where years later, if Jerica ever wants to come home from camp, or we don't know. If you were to tell me 5 years ago this is where I'd be like, yeah, right. So I don't try to make plans too far ahead, but hopefully it can be
so sick though.
Yeah, a financial thing, and the cool thing, just to kind of make the final plug about how my life has come together right now, and it feels like it is summer camp, archery, leading instruction, did a lot of fishing, did a lot of knot tying, all those things there for a couple of years. That helped me get my job as a PE teacher, because I kind of went into my interview with this idea that like we've done phys ed in America for so many years based on basketball, football, whatever. Like,
right.
It's not working. if you look at health in America right now, we're not doing a good job.
Yeah.
So we need to figure out how to get more kids outside. So kind of went with this idea that I can tie in summer campy things of being outdoors into my phys ed. And so we've started nature hikes. We've got a fishing program now at Bedford, and we're working on just casting, learning how to do it. We've got these plastic fish that I throw out in the gym, and the kids are learning how to bring it over. And then I just got
outside.
Yeah.
Chilling. Yeah.
I just got a grant from the Michigan DNR to do archery. So those showed up actually this week. I went and got them, unboxed them at school and stuff. All the archery equipment and the bows and stuff.
Awesome.
So I have just been inspired recently, just like how it's all coming together. Like this Mossy Oak, outdoorsy people, those are the people I'm meeting and the company that I really enjoy being around. And then there's this summer campy, like I know kids need to be outdoors, and now my school is kind of just allowing that to happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, with Mossy Oak too, I gotta give them a plug, but I got to go down to the February conference we do.
Mm-hmm.
We call it the Land Summit, and it was the first year that I was able to do it. And man, you want a company that like you can get behind and follow. Like it was so eye-opening. We started the conference like this, and this is all the agents across the country are invited, and you can come down, and all the brokerages are there. And we start with a prayer.
Oh, wow.
We start with the Pledge of Allegiance on every one of these mornings. And I'm like, this is crazy. But then like there's this guy who's a chaplain down in Mississippi, and people in the Mississippi area where Mossy Oak was started, they live and breathe the brand, you know, and like that brand has helped that city so much. Mm-hmm. And so the chaplain of one of the churches comes to do the opening prayer for Mossy Oak, and he starts, and I'm just, you know, we're listening, and he's like, yeah, I know this is like a land summit and stuff, but he's like, honestly, I just feel really compelled to do this. But he's like, I want everybody to close your eyes and bow your head. And like, if you know Jesus and you'd be willing to share him with other people this week while we're down here learning about land, I just need you to raise your hand. And I'm like, where am I at? Am I at church? Am I at Mossy Oak? And then he's like, all right, now that you got your hand raised, he's like, and if you don't know Jesus, I'm going to dare you to open your eyes and look around this room. And he's like, and if you see somebody with their hands up, like, I want you to have a conversation with them about Jesus this weekend.
Damn.
And then he ended the prayer, and we started the conference. But I was just like, man.
What in the world?
Like, and so, like, that company itself, like, whether I do a bunch of deals and this becomes like a real thing for me, or if it's just a couple a year and I get to kind of wear the brand proudly, like, it's such a cool thing. And I'm just thankful that like Brecken brought me in, and like,
that's so cool.
I'm learning a lot, you know, and someday hopefully I'll be able to have my own land and be able to, you know, show people around the way people showed me on how to learn how to hunt and do things like that. But yeah, man, it's been a cool thing to tie into just the other things that are going on in our lives right now.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
I love that God pulled Brecken into that.
Oh, dude. And that's where I was like, I've seen the transformation in his life, you know, and
he didn't have a chance.
No, dude, you get into a company like that, you're like, and honestly, I remember being there in February this year. I was like, oh, that's how Brecken is, you know.
Yeah.
But
that's cool.
Man, I was obviously so pumped when he got baptized this year, and you know,
yeah, that's cool.
It was so good. So,
that's so cool.
Yeah, man. There's been a few things, and not to keep hammering on this, but the idea of having land and showing people how to hunt, and you know, there's these ideas that I've had lately where I don't know where it'll come, but like of a noble pursuit. And I think you'll understand this with me, but like us guys, especially in our 30s, like we've got to have something to go after. Mm-hmm. That's noble or
dragon.
Right. Or if we don't, like something lesser will occupy our time.
Right.
Right. It'll take our attention.
Right.
I'm just wondering kind of where all that goes, but I've had people, and this is where I'm praying on it, and I'm hoping it becomes a thing, you know, and maybe this is me just putting it out there to where hopefully it'll get some traction. But I have these visions of owning property maybe someday, and hopefully showing people how to go and archery hunt, go to do things that I was taught when in my teens by our family members, because there's been probably 5 guys in the last year that I work with, that I work out with, that I go to church with, who are 30 plus. A couple of guys are like 45 plus, And they're like, dude, you go bow hunting? And I'm like, yeah, dude, like sometimes, you know. And I got a deer this year. It's cool. Like I talk about it and I try not to brag, but it's a cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, dude, I just like, would you show me?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, and I'm like, yeah, like I need to figure out a way, because
To facilitate this.
I know what it does to my heart and my soul.
Mm-hmm.
And like I come home to my wife when I've got a deer in the back of the truck. And I just think like there's something natural, primal, spiritual that happens inside somebody when you're able to provide in a way that's like actually tangible. And it's not like we need the meat from a deer, but it's cool.
Yeah.
And I love showing.
Beneficial.
Yeah, I love doing the butchering. I love putting it in my freezer. Like we can buy stuff at the store. It's not like it's needed yet or whatever in our life, but like
If something happens.
yeah, and when you come home, yeah,
sick.
the way my wife looks at me when I come home with a deer is like a cool thing, you know? So I guess I say that to her. It's like, I hope that maybe all these things can intermix in the future, and there's no reason that I can't take these guys out now on public land, and maybe that's what I need to start doing. But it's like,
easier on private.
Yeah,
I
of
can see
course,
that.
you know, but to give these other guys like a noble pursuit, man, because we just need it.
Yeah.
You know, if we're not going after something, like we're just kind of wasting our time. So
I maybe two questions.
Yeah.
Like, what do you feel like is your dragon that you have to go out and slay? And yeah, we'll start with that.
yeah, here's the big thing for me, and I think that let's get real. I have grown up in a Christian home. Mom and dad love each other. I've got 3 siblings that love me. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
I've not ever wanted for anything. And I think that puts me in a spot where, man, somewhere in the New Testament, it talks about he who has been given much will be required in return. And that is, the dragon for me is like, I have no reason to not be successful. I have no reason to not love my wife and my kid the best way possible. I have no reason not to show up for people at all times. And, you know, and I still, with all of those things and with no real struggle in my life, still find myself in habitual patterns of sin, habitual like thought processes that I know are not from God. I know they're not, you know. And so it's kind of just this idea of like the dragon is like, man, it's not easier or whatever, but like you see somebody who's come from like the streets or like severe drug abuse and they get over that and you're like, man, they've done it.
Right.
But when you come from like such privilege of not really any struggles your entire life,
Right.
like I think it just I don't know, makes you too comfortable. I don't know what it is. I don't exactly know what the dragon is, and maybe that's it. Is just like learning someday to be happy with who I actually am, and just like not feeling like there's a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the dragon is like the problem in itself. Is like there's actually nothing you need to go do, and nothing you need to just be kind of present. But I don't know if that makes sense. But I feel like there's always not enough done because of how good I've had it, and I need to. You know, so maybe that's my dragon.
You feel like you need to slice something.
Yeah. So.
No, that's what. All right, deep.
Yeah.
I don't have any answers for you.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, hopefully it makes sense.
No,
you know,
it does.
yeah,
It
because
does. Yeah, it's
that's what I struggle with, honestly.
yeah, it's tough too because when you come from a place where you've been given a lot. Yeah, it's like, but you also, I mean, we all have struggles.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is like we have different struggles than someone that's on the street. They're dealing with stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, I mean, I feel that. I totally understand that. Like low-key.
Yeah.
A lot.
It's silly. I know that, you know, and it's like, why do you feel like you still, it's not like not feeling enough, you know what I mean? Because there's so many times that I know that I'm successful at things and things have worked out well, and like, yeah, so but it's just the kind of the real thought process there is that
There's still stuff you got.
maybe that's why, like,
Pull a little.
yeah, you know, but I kind of like the dragon still being out there,
Yeah.
because that helps me wake up early and go do things, you know. And
So like, I feel like when I went to Florida, for a year. It was me leaving the castle and finding my own.
Yeah, you went out.
Yeah. And same with you in
Yeah.
Arizona. I feel like I left, I went, I figured out that, man, there's so much out there. It made me, it matured me.
Yeah.
It figured out all that stuff. But there's still higher levels to attain. And as I grow, I'm like, man, dude, I'm in a new position in a new world. There's way more things for me to learn.
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever going to stop. I mean,
Yeah.
if it does, I'm dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
And I mean, to jump in with that too, like I think that's, yeah, you know, it's funny. I'm going back to a conversation I had at camp last week with a kid who's just in a new leadership role, and we were talking. He was like, "Man, do you ever feel like you're not supposed to be in that role?"
Oh, 100%.
And I said, "Dude, that's the curse of leadership. Is like you're going to be given things that you're not always sure you're ready for, and like you know." And here I am. I'm having this conversation with this 20-year-old, and I'm like, "Oh man, Taran, you're talking to yourself." Like, you know, because how many times are you leading the meeting and you're like, like if they find out that I'm a phony or whatever, like but it's not that you're a phony. I think that's why you're in the role.
That's the real thing,
You know,
too,
somebody
though.
gave you that role because they can see that you can lead the group of whatever.
Right. And there's no perfect person.
Yeah. So, man, here we are fixing my dragon right now for me in this podcast because it's just like
100%.
but I don't want to ever feel like I made it. I think that's a scary place to be.
Yeah.
And I think one of the greatest gifts that I could give to my family, my wife, my kid, and is to show up and be like, no, I'm good. I'm
here for you. I'm stable.
I'm good enough, and I think that's, it's just something that I've got to figure out for myself. And it's not that I don't feel that way, but I think there's something behind the curtain there of like why I keep trying to push for the next big adventure, why I keep trying to push so hard
I
on certain
think
things.
there's nothing wrong with the pushing.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's the drive.
Yeah, I think that's good to hear from you too, because like I just feel like you're very successful in like your dealings, you know what I mean? And like your podcast was a dream at one point, and here we are. Like, and it might not be the biggest podcast in the world like Joe Rogan, but like you're reaching the people of this area.
Yeah, I'm impacting who I need to.
Right, and you've done really well in business. So it's good to hear that like it's okay to keep looking for the.
Yeah, and I think part of it is I don't know. I'm blessed with where I'm at because I would have never guessed that I'd be in this location or in this setting, but God just keeps on blessing me. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for that. And I really do feel like God is giving me things that I wasn't ready for 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
And then now he's giving it to me. And it's not like easy where I just get it. It's like, okay, now it stretches me in ways that are uncomfortable. There are uncomfortable things that I'm dealing with. They're really good, and it's like I'm so glad I'm learning this and dealing with this stuff, and I'm learning from people. So I'm not dealing with things that are like totally foreign to me, but I'm pushing myself into like levels of area or giving it. I've been given authority that wasn't like the fake. I feel fake.
Yeah.
I feel like this wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like anyone could have. There's someone else that should have this, but then it's given to me. I'm like, okay, well, I'm given this, and I gotta figure out how to.
The imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Man, it's
real. But then I walk in it for a while. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is literally built for me.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be here. This is who I'm supposed to be doing. Like it couldn't be given to anyone else. It could be.
Yeah.
Like God gave it to me, and I've got to walk
right now.
in it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, but it's like it's weird.
Yeah,
100%.
I think that's something I'm actually more thankful than not to think that there still is a dragon. Because it's that idea of.
Let me say this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You're in the middle.
No, you're fine.
For me, leaving Goshen and heading to Florida was the start of an adventure to realize there's dragons out there that I can slay.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like for you, when you left to Arizona, you're like, oh, there is a world out here.
Yeah.
That I am going to head out, and I'm going to figure out what's going on. And it keeps on growing.
Yeah.
The world, like anytime, I don't know if you played Grand Theft Auto or
Yeah.
It's like,
Always gets big.
it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It's dark at the start and it just grows, you know. And I feel like
Dude,
that's
you played Grand Theft Auto?
only at your house.
I was gonna say, there's no way your mom lets you have that in your house.
In college, I did a little bit.
My parents didn't let me have that.
I know. I remember playing Red Dead Redemption. You guys have
Oh yeah,
the first one.
We definitely had
Classic.
that. My parents didn't understand what that was, but so that was good.
It's a cowboy game.
Yeah, it's a cowboy
no big
game.
deal.
It's no big deal.
No big deal.
No, you're right, and I think the one thing that I've learned probably most about the moving to Arizona was like there's people from all over.
Yeah.
Like it just took my world from bourbon to just the next kind of thing, and then what's been crazy about Arizona is that made my world so big, and then we moved to camp. And the thing about camp is 90% of the staff are international. They're here on what's called a J1 visa, so they get a 90-day work permit and 30 days to travel on either side of it. So it's so
small.
But it's like this is the thing where they're like, this gives us the chance to get to the United States, and what we don't know as Americans is how difficult it is to travel.
Oh yeah.
Right. So if you're from Scotland, Australia, Ireland, a lot of the people that we hire, they're not able to come visit America unless they have one of these visas, which makes Jerica's job pretty easy to staff because there's
Cherry pick.
floods of people that want to come and see. We're real close to New York City. So you fly into New York City, you get to experience it, and then you come up to our camp. But I say that to where it's like some of our best friends from our first couple of years and still now are from Ireland, from Scotland, or from Australia.
Yep.
So we got to our
blew
world
up the
just went,
world.
and like we find ourselves in Scotland in the fall of 2022, with one of our best friends, Jordy, and another one, Kate, and we're watching rugby matches and playing golf in St. Andrews, not at the St. Andrews, but in the town of St. Andrews, and I'm eating fish and chips and drinking Guinness and all the stuff all over, and I'm like, man, this is you doing that, and
they get to show you their world.
yeah, and it made our world so big. And, but the cool thing about camp too, and the idea of having Jerica there, and I think the biggest thing about our dragon slaying that we're talking about is you've got Allison and I've got Jerica, and it's like this person who's like, dude, I'm there with you, and I think that that's something that I'm so thankful for, to have a wife who I probably don't share my struggles of whatever is going on in my heart all the time with her, but like she sees it. She's like, dude, like you're success, like you're good, and she's helpful, but she's also just like a ride or die. Like I'm there. We going on an adventure? Perfect. Where are we going? And I'm like so thankful, and I laugh about that day in 2016 where I'm like, man, what are the odds of me running across this girl at a bar, and things have just gone from there, and she needed somebody who knew Jesus, and that was one of her prayers. But then she's like, I want him to like beer, and here we are. And I'm thinking like, there's no way that I'm gonna get it, like have a relationship with somebody who was so strict about everything. So I needed that little like freedom that she gave me to figure out who I am, to really, so, but anyways, I say that to where
perfect match.
Yeah. And so she's been in the adventure the entire time, and here we are at camp, and camp we haven't talked about, but camp is a super secular place, like very worldly. Like you want to talk about like very open to everything, which we're like, okay, that's where we're going. And but there's certainly no religious aspect of it, and we're probably 2 of 10 Christians out of 400 staff members.
Wow.
And the kids aren't Christian. They're coming from Jewish backgrounds in New York City and like heritage of that, but so we're like going into that, and we obviously have our beliefs and the things that we've tied our lives to in our Christian faith, and it's been so cool to see how God has used that in a worldwide aspect. And I don't pretend to think that we've had this big of impact, but there's been conversations Jerica's had, and dude, she's a baller. Like I like to think I'm bold, but I'm learning to be bold with my faith. I'm not great at it yet. I think my biggest boldness is just trying to live it out at school, and like I'll tell kids all the time, man, like, dude, I'm gonna pray for you. And they're like, look at me, and I'm like, I'm serious, and I know that you don't think that that's whatever, but like, I'm not actually mad at you. I'm just going to pray about this later, and I'm going to talk to you. So that's like me being bold, but I'm kind of shy, and those are 10-year-old boys or 12-year-old boys at school. But Jerica's like, she's bold.
Wow.
So at camp, this is just, one of those things where I was like watching her do this, and I was like, she's so hot, and but there's this staff member who was like, asking this dude's from Australia, and he's like, what's going on with you and Taran? Like, why are you guys? You just look like you like each other, which is something I'm not used to seeing, in a married couple. And she's like, oh, dude, like, she's like, what we found out early on about each other was like we both knew Jesus, and then she's like, if it wasn't for Jesus, like our relationship wouldn't work. And I'm just like watching, like I'm grabbing food in the salad bar, and I'm like, dude, that was so hot, like way to go, And she just walked away, but I don't know what that staff member took from that, but like she just
It's impactful.
Yeah, she just throws it at him, and I'm like, way to go, So she's, having that ride or die person with you, I think has been, it's just obviously such. I can't even talk about how much of a blessing it's been in my life, but it's been, she's kind of leading the way, and I'm figuring out how to do it, but we get to do these adventurous things together, and it's been a crazy ride, man.
It's cool that she's a ride or die.
Yeah.
It's so cool. It's crazy, like, when you look back at life, like, all the little things that, like, happened to get you to where you're at.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen that in my life. I'm seeing it in your life. I see it in, like, everyone that I talk to. There's things that you just don't get to where you're at if it wasn't for some type of, and I believe it's God putting you together and just navigating you to the location.
Yeah, dude. Back to our early on conversation. It was like, I think about these things, and I think back to Grandma Becky, my mom's mom. We talked about it. Like when my parents were that young, and like she was like, dude,
80s. Boom.
Yeah. If you're not equally yoked, if Chad doesn't know Jesus, like, this is going to be really hard.
Change the trajectory of it all.
And I think about this conversation in 2022. Jarek is talking to an Australian staff member. And I'm like, does that all go back to that moment? No. But like,
could be.
I don't know.
There's something.
Like the reason I know Jesus is because my dad does. It's like kind of, you throw all those things into it, and I'm like, wow. So yeah, those things can keep you up at night if you think too much into it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it's fun to do these types of things and just have this conversation, because you just hear it in other people's stories. Like, oh, dude, like, and anybody, like the 4 people that are going to listen to this, your dad, my mom, like the other people, they're going to be like, oh yeah, there's moments in my life where I've had a conversation with somebody, and that you don't know if it made an impact or it did or didn't, and like, that's the cool thing about this life, is like, it's just rolling on, man. And
just keeps going.
The nice thing about being on Team Jesus is the way it ends, but we don't exactly know when it ends or how it ends, but we know like where we go when it ends, and that's a good thing.
It's a cool thing. It's crazy. I know, like, for me, one of the things that's been like pretty consistent in my life is there's too many coincidences to be a coincidence.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
too many things have lined up.
Too many things. I'm like, man, I'm blessed to be in this position, and that drives me towards something.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah, it is, man, and it's been fun to hear your story through that. Like, I've been a listener, like we said, probably since 2021, 2022. I don't know when you started the Dadcast, but that's when I got involved.
Yep.
And then obviously you interviewed Brecken, you interviewed TJ at some point in between there, and we got to hear a little bit about their stories. And but I've been kind of a listener throughout, and the cool thing about it is just the people that you're interacting with, whether it be in just like a Goshen sense or in like a spiritual sense, it still all goes out. You put it out into, so I'm so thankful, that you think about like you're a small platform like this, and maybe it's somebody listening just trying to hear about the Goshen City Football Club, but they might end up stumbling across the Dadcast and hear how incredible the Old Testament is. And it's like coincidence, whatever, using your story to just improve other people's chances of encountering Jesus is kind of a cool thing.
Bro, I'm capturing memories.
Yeah.
That's all I'm doing is capturing. It's so sick.
Yeah, and you just have to make sure you hit record.
Yeah, that's the hard part. That's the hard part, dude.
Yeah. But it is, and I think
it's not been the first time. I'll be honest. It's not been the first time.
Yeah. Dude, like whatever, and that's the thing is you end up in a conversation, and what I think is great. I'm a huge podcast consumer when I'm driving. Like, I don't mind music, but dude,
I'd rather listen.
I love a good conversation, dude, and that's
wrap me up in it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, let me fall asleep.
What's your favorite? Like, what are you listening to if you're not listening?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm a big PBD fan, Patrick Bet-David.
Okay.
So he's business.
Yep.
but I am deep into like really conspiracy out there
Nice
podcasts.
Hence the Freemasons study you're doing with your dad.
100%. I'll listen to a podcast called War Mode, and they're way out there. They're super out there. There's another guy, a couple dudes called Mystery Boys or Kerp with Derp. There's just like these weird dudes who go into like these like out there theories, not Christian whatsoever.
Sure.
But like, I love it. And then Deep Mode is a Christian podcast, and they're kind of out there conspiracy wise. I used to listen to Bad Christian.
Okay.
Or what was the other one that I listened to? A lot of Blurry Creatures. There was a couple like just kind of like they're all Christian-esque, like but out there podcasts.
Nice,
I've
man.
enjoyed those. Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Is a classic. Tim Dillon, I really enjoy. Shane Gillis, Matt and Shane's Secret podcast. Those are some other like comedy.
You get a little comedy in there.
Yeah, I love the good old comedy stuff. But just kind of like that's kind of the ring of
my teammate was asking me today, like he's a podcaster, he listens to like ESPN stuff, and he's like, what do you listen to? And I was trying to think back. Like I mean, like my biggest one, like Kale. So my oldest brother, Kale, he works a factory here in the Elkhart area, and that dude, thankfully, gets to listen to like a ton of podcasts while he's working. So like one of my favorite things every morning is I wake up and I look at the group chat, and Kale sent like 4 new podcasts. But what he
sent me some too.
Yeah,
he's Chuck Dynasty one.
Yeah, the Unashamed guys, man. Like I listened to that. They just had Matt Chandler on last week, and like Matt Chandler's he's a beast of a pastor, dude. So I'll listen to them, and then I listen to a lot of. There's this thing called the Meat Eater podcast, which but they've done this branch called Blood Trails, which is like missing hunters, whether it be murder, whether it be an animal, so they've got a couple of seasons of Blood Trails by Meat Eater. So I'm a big fan of that.
That's good, huh?
And then like, dude, when we're like road tripping, I don't know if I don't believe that we're on the same page with political and or probably spiritual beliefs, but Dax Shepard does armchair but he does these anonymous episodes, or what are they, armchair anonymous something, but there's one where like the listeners call in and tell a story about a prompt. And dude, like if Jarek and I are driving somewhere,
that's so good, and
it could be like accidentally farting on a date or whatever, but it's like they give these prompts and they tell these stories, and man, there's a couple about like Las Vegas, and it was just crazy, so those are probably the podcasts that I'm spending the most time with and listening to. But it's like it's so good to just to hear the stories that are out there.
Man, yeah, I love just conversations.
Yeah. And then Timmons Podcast Network is like,
sir.
Dude, I've got it. When you come out with a new one, which you've been slacking on this year, but that's okay. You're a new boy dad, you've got you got a lot going on, but I always listen when you come out with them.
It really is. It's like, do I want to spend my time podcasting? And when I do,
of course you do.
Be intentionally. Yeah, I love podcasting, but it's like, man, I love spending time with my daughter. Yeah, and it's just like it's so important to.
Wow, and your son, like,
daughter and son.
Right? You've got 2 kids now, and like, here's the thing that I think you are probably doing a really good job of is like realizing your daughter's almost 3. Mm-hmm. Your son is now 4 months, and what I know just from like the little bit that I've been a dad for 2 years is like that goes quick, bro. Like we find ourselves like, where did she learn this, and when did she stop doing that one thing that was really cute that she was doing last week? So I think podcasting, telling stories, like that'll always be there. Mm-hmm. And realizing, and I think you have, is just like, yeah, but like my kids are not gonna be little forever, right? So I'm gonna soak that in as much as I possibly can.
But I'm gonna create memories here and here and here and here, and it's not gonna stop.
Yep.
It's just gonna be when I want to do it, how I want to do it.
Yeah.
I'll just keep doing it.
Yeah, man. So
it's good. All right, Taran, I gotta pee.
Yeah, dude.
Let's wrap it up.
I've just checked this off my bucket list
and
getting on Timmons Podcast Network,
Taran.
But it's been an absolute pleasure, dude. And I hope that in the future we'll get to retell some more stories.
Give some shout outs. Where if people want to direct the people up.
Yeah, honestly. So Taran Mossy Oak 2 is my Instagram. Taran Kennedy Mossy Oak Properties, Michigan Outdoors is my Facebook page. That's where you'll see me be most active, and a lot of that is just marketing and trying to get people's products out there for selling stuff. But aside from that, man, like Camp IHC is where Jerica works, and we're out there in Pennsylvania doing that. I work as an athletic director there for the summer, and then Bedford schools, man. Keep an eye on that. We're starting an archery team. We're doing some cool PE stuff, and yeah, we're in Toledo. So if anybody's in that area or ever wants to, meet up. One of my big things, somebody was asking me the other day, is like, what's your thing? And like, dude, I love local coffee shops, man. So you want to meet me in Toledo at anyone, I'll find them. But Solomon's is my favorite. He just opened up. He's a sweet dude. But yeah, man, I'm over in that area, and obviously I would love to help people with their land purchases, but also just talking about movement, how important that is for us. And then, the fun parts of being outdoors, dude, like I'm there for it. So I don't know.
Love it.
Dude,
Aaron,
thank you for having me.
Much, man. This has been great.
I
The first part of the podcast was the best part of the podcast, so you guys don't get to listen to it.
Yeah.
It sucks for you guys, but for us, we talked about some high level things, and I loved it.
Yeah,
but
man.
yeah, I appreciate just you as a cousin, and the growth that's happened. I mean, it's crazy. We've been part of each other's lives for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
And it's just wild to see.
But probably like more significantly in the last 9 or 10.
Yeah.
And I'm really thankful for that. So, dude, like you coming out to Arizona those couple of times, like I think that really kind of started the, relationship, keeping in touch a little bit more. And then
I swear that's grandma showing up.
Yeah.
I mean,
dude, she was so good at that. Like if you got an invite somewhere, it was important enough to go, And so, yeah, you coming out and like, yeah, I'm here.
I love it.
So good. And then just doing that and seeing you kind of do your thing here, man, has been great. And
cool.
So proud of you, and I'm thankful to be on here as well. So
proud. Thank you. With that, we'll call it good.
All right,
peace. I got peace so bad.
Yeah, me too. Do you ever pee?